Hey everybody, Joseph Kim from Leela Games. I am here in front of Hypernova Interactive Studio. This is a studio that has been in business for the last 7 years and have actually developed 52 games. They are currently working on a big new GTA-like game for India, but we're going to go check out the studio, meet the people, and see what they actually do here at Hypernova. Come with me. Hey guys! Hello. Mayur.
Hey.
Faiza, how's it going, guys?
Doing great.
Yeah.
Please come
Well, these are the two co-founders. This is Mayur, Hufaiza from Hypernova Interactive. How are you guys doing? Is it okay for us to? Is it okay for us to come and check out the studio?
Yeah, why not?
All right. Well, let's sit down for a second. Huzaifa, Mayur, first of all, thanks so much for allowing me to come and visit your studio. It's great to be here. I thought we could first start just by having you guys tell us about, you've got a great studio here, but like, one of the things I learned about you guys is that you guys have been in business for 7 years. And 8 years. Oh, sorry, 8 years, and have worked on 52 games, right?
Yeah.
So that's a long time, long experience. If we walk back to the very beginning, you don't have to go in too much super detail, but like, how did you guys meet and why did you guys start the studio?
Sure. Take the first shot. For me, it was like my father taught me how to code, and when I had my own computer, I started modding games on it. And soon enough, I realized that I was less interested in my books and more interested in making things. And that's kind of how I became like a homebrew coder, so to speak.
Yeah.
And when I was in my 10th grade, I ran into Mayur at a cyber cafe. And he was playing Warcraft and I was playing Age of Mythology.
Wow, so this goes back to your childhood. You guys
Yes.
met way early on. Okay,
And this
cool.
is in a small town. It's a tier 2, tier 3 city called Akola.
Okay.
And it had only one internet cafe with at that time, a high-speed internet of like 256 kbps, right? So we would all go over there after our tuitions and stuff. And that's where I ran into him and I asked him, hey, which game are you playing? And he's like, hey, this is Dota and on Warcraft. And that's kind of how we met.
Okay.
And Mayur.
And that's sort of what our starting point for Hypernova also was, where we first saw the iPad in 2010, 2011, I think, and Zephyr bought the first Gen 1 and we were just playing around with it and he was like, there should be Dota on this. And after that, we went on to our professional lives. I joined Zynga, he did something else with Hike and a bunch of other independent stuff. But in 2015, there was still no Dota for mobile, so to speak, right? Like there's no multiplayer online battle arena games, MOBA games on mobile, nothing existed at that point. And that's when we thought, hey, we can take a shot at this. We were two very young, very ambitious guys, completely under the spell of Dunning-Kruger effect, where we don't know the scope and complexity of the problem we were undertaking.
Right.
But we have all the confidence in the world that we can solve that problem. And that's how we started. And obviously we didn't make a MOBA because it would have then been built. But we found quite a few twists and turns along the way. We actually spent the first 6 months of the company's life actually trying to develop a MOBA.
Okay.
Yeah, and
So you guys kept in touch, and then at some point in your career, when you were at Zynga, you're like, I kind of feel like doing something.
We also did a post-graduation together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
In
So
game design and games production.
Right. So you guys were still fairly tightly connected,
Yeah.
and then at some point you both felt like this is the right time. Now, when you guys actually got started, how did you guys actually start, this company in terms of, from a funding perspective? Did you guys bootstrap it? Did you guys get like friends and family, or how did you guys actually get like the money to kind of start?
So it was largely bootstrapped and some from friends and family.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we both had some savings built up from our cozy jobs for 5 years that we spent in corporate life. And we realized, hey, we can take a shot here. And that's where we started with a very small team as well. We just, apart from the two of us, there's just 3 other guys in a small room that wasn't bigger than our bathroom right now.
Right.
So
So you started with you two guys, you found 3 other guys, you had some personal savings, got
Yeah.
friends and family a little bit, and then you guys just kind of got started on this
Okay.
path to 52 more games in the future after you started.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. And then what about this office here? At what point did it make sense to get this office? And we're here in HSR layout for our
Right.
audience.
Yeah.
But when did this happen? And then why HSR layout? We were talking earlier about, I'm still questioning why we're in Indra Nagar when it's so expensive. But like maybe you guys could talk about this studio and the decision to come here.
HSR layout was sort of like the starting point for both. It was like a midpoint for both of us. Mayur lived somewhere and I lived towards the other side. So it was a very good place for both of us. And HSR is kind of like Kormangla, kind of like Indra Nagar, but not as expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And another fun fact is that HSR layout has the most amount of gaming studios per square feet.
That's
Now,
true.
not
That's
back in
true.
the day when we
Yeah.
started. Yeah.
But I think that's part of the reason why we just chose HSR. It's a self-sustaining ecosystem. You don't have to fight the traffic outside on the main roads or
Right.
anything. If you live in HSR layout, your office is in HSR layout, you'll probably live most of your life over here.
Right.
And Mayur, we did an interview before and we talked about Mayanagri. And I'm wondering if you guys could give us a quick update in terms of where we are or where you are in, as far as the launch and in the current status update for the game.
Right. So the game's not out yet, obviously, but we are doing some more previews with our community where they get their hands on the game, give us feedback, and we improve on it. The game will come out when it's ready, and we are working very hard on that. So we don't have a date we are announcing on that yet. But we are releasing our first song of the game this week.
Nice.
It's going to come out on more than 200 different music streaming platforms, as well as we are releasing, I think we are one of the first studios in the country to release an actual music video for a game that they are releasing. And especially with the fact that the game is in Hindi, the song's going to be in
Right.
Hindi.
Right.
So we're bringing a little bit of the Bollywood glamour and magic to the games industry as well.
Great. So the current studio, could you, for the people in our audience who are curious about the kind of roles and the way that studios are generally set up, tell me about the organization. How is it structured in terms of whether it's art, design, engineering, all that kind of stuff? It'd be great to hear from you
Right.
how you guys are structured.
So right now, our team is built largely as a development team rather than a full stack game studio.
Okay.
Where we have like a publishing, QA, custom support, a bunch of bits that we need around distribution. So some of those pieces are missing. We've just started to hire on that front. 6 months back, we did our first product hire, we did our first community hire. But we're still largely structured as a development team because our game's a very long gestation cycle game and we need to spend more time developing and resources developing the game right now rather than putting it out there. But as we are ramping up, talking about the game more publicly, we're thinking more and more about distribution right now. But the way it's split up is that we have roughly about 6 engineers, about 13 artists, including 2D, 3D, animation, concept, all that. And we have about 9 game designers. Most of them can write code themselves.
Oh, wow.
So they are half engineers, half designers. And everybody works on the game engine directly. Mm-hmm. And the rest of the folks then are split into QA, project management, operations, and obviously then there's the 2 of us.
Great. I'd love to go and talk to some of those folks, but before we jump over there, the one other question I wanted to ask you guys is in terms of company culture and how you guys have established your studio here. Mm-hmm. Mayur, coming from Zynga, and Huzaifa, you having come from Hike, could you talk about your company culture here, and then maybe you can compare and contrast to your previous experience?
Right. So the Zynga that I used to work in back in the day was largely an operational unit rather than an IP creation unit where a game gets created elsewhere and then is handed over to the studio that I used to work at to operate it. I'm being told today's Zynga is very different. They're building a whole bunch of new IP stuff, so that's great for them. But at that point, when you're looking at just running a game versus building a game from the ground up, you have to think very differently, because you're facing a blank page. You don't already have color by numbers, and the numbers are written for you, and you just have to color them. So it's been a very different mindset, and one of the key things that we've thought about from day zero is that we need to be driven like a knowledge economy company, right? Where our factories are our minds, and we need to nurture and grow them, and that's the most important thing for us. So we have three things that we try and follow at a very broad level. One is we don't hire anybody who is not a gaming consumer themselves and a consummate consumer at that. So that's the first step in our hiring process. If you can't talk about your favorite game for at least a couple of hours, we won't even interview you.
Okay.
That's like you want to work in the movies and you don't know who Martin Scorsese or Rajamouli or Anurag Kashyap is. So we try and follow that, and then we pair it up with a thought process that what we are building is a marathon. It's not a sprint that you are going to build a game in 3 months or 6 months or 9 months. It's going to take years for you to be build an open world game. So you can't treat it like a sprint, you have to treat it like a marathon. So we try to say yes wherever we can, and we try to be human as much as we can, because we're still a pretty small team.
So I'm sensing work-life balance is part of your, sure, okay.
Because our whole thing is that work-life balance is important, yes. Output is also important, yes. But when you're working on one project for 5 years and carrying the context from the first year to the 4th year and the 5th year, the value of us being able to retain that context is much higher than that extra 10-15% productivity.
Okay.
So that's how we think about it.
As for us, like people from Hype, I think Hype was pretty much Zynga 2.0, because most of the founding members were from Zynga. The only difference was, unlike an operational unit, we had to do a lot of IP creation, and not just any IP creation. We were the first studio in the country that was making something specifically for India. So a lot of that knowledge, research and context is what is helping us build Mayanagri today. And on the point of work-life balance, I would actually want to correct it in a way that we are more about work-life counterbalance. There's nothing called a work-life balance. There's work-life counterbalance. So there will be a few days where you have very strong, intense bursts of work, but there might be some really slow days. So it has to level out an average. That's kind of how we look at it. So you never want to burn out your team. And as far as hiring is concerned, we really believe that a lot of companies have very, very different cultures, and something that I have seen when I interview people is a lot of people actually end up getting scarred by the practices of some employee who was a little bit too harsh with them maybe, or expected too much, and that ends up as baggage, and that ends up being bad for productivity for them. So what has worked best for us is actually hiring people for whom it is their first job with us. We get to define what is a job to them, right? And that has worked wonders. So the way we have structured our team is that we have some really, really experienced senior people who are like the shepherds, and then we have people who are extremely talented. These are young men and women who are very, very talented, who want to make a difference, but they're guided by the people who are senior to them. And I think that is a model that has worked extremely well for us.
Our average age is around 24, 25.
Ooh, that's a young company. Wow. All right, can we meet some of these guys?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. All right. Thanks. All right, should we start with design? Layer? All right, so you have 9 designers. Who's your best designer? No, I'm just kidding. Who should we talk to?
So this is our design day.
Okay.
As you can see, a lot of them are on leave today with the long weekend. This is Ritik, Nimish, Anushka.
Okay.
And they're all part of our design team.
All right, so can one of you guys speak into this mic and maybe just talk about, as a design team, What do you guys do? What's your day-to-day? What kind of tools do you use? And this is basically for the audience who wants to understand what does a designer do here at Hypernova. And you're not a designer. Okay. One of you guys? You, yes. Come up. Okay, so what are you doing on a daily basis? What does it mean to be a game designer here at Hypernova?
I mean, mainly it's first thing is understanding the requirement for the game,
Okay.
and which takes a lot of research. So primary goal as a designer is to be well versed with the industry and the requirements that, as in researching what is exactly required for what we are building, the product that we are building, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
And what are you guys doing on a day-to-day basis? What does that look like for our audience who may be considering being a game designer, but they want to know more about it? On a day-to-day basis, what are you doing?
So we do have like our feature board and everything. So we kind of like brainstorm with each other and see what the game really requires. What features do we require?
Okay.
And we have like a brainstorm session where everyone discusses about the topic,
Right.
and we create like documents, like a one-pager.
Like
or
design
something.
specs and
Yes,
things
like
like
design
that.
specs,
Okay.
GDDs, one-pagers, and then we start building it up with our developers. So we start implementing it actually in the game.
Okay,
So yeah.
great. What do you like about game design? Why should someone become a game designer?
I mean, for me, it's mostly I like problem solving.
Okay.
So, like logic puzzles and all. And design, if you see, is kind of like problem solving where, okay, you have a problem now and you need to solve, because designing is not about like getting ideas.
Yeah.
Like anyone can get ideas, but filtering through ideas and seeing what works and what doesn't is the job of a designer, basically.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Let's move on to Art. Yeah. Maybe? Artists in the house.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
So there's Biswajit,
Okay.
Irfan, and Akash,
What's up, guys?
all part of our team.
Who can tell me, what do you guys do on a day-to-day basis? What is it like to be an artist here at Hypernova? Go for it. Talking to this mic.
All right, cool. So being an artist is, we have different departments over here. We have concept art right here, and a 3D team, and there's an animation team right down there. So day to day, we have interdepartmental communication, finding out what needs to be done, what goes into the game. All of us are well versed in each other's departments. And so the concept team gives concepts to the 3D team, 3D team gives it to the animation, goes into the game. And by the end of the day or end of the week, we can see what's going on.
Right.
So,
And maybe, can you touch upon, so for the people in the audience who are thinking about becoming potentially an artist, you mentioned different kinds of artists, right? Concept, 3D. Can you kind of break down like the high level of what the different kinds of artists are?
all right. So when a project starts, if you're starting like a action game or MMO or whatever, it starts off with an idea. That goes to the concept artist who drafts out these concept art pieces or ideas and designs that gives the project vision
Yeah.
so that everyone can come together in the same space. And once that's done, a lot of different things come out of it, like how the animations look like, how the 3D art, how the environment looks like. So the 3D team takes all of those and creates the actual assets that go inside the game.
Okay.
And finally, the designers and the programmers, they combine everything to see the game that you see in front of you.
Great. And what about you guys? What are you guys doing day to day? Why do you like being an artist here at Hypernova?
Yeah, first thing is like I am creative right from my childhood. So like this is how like I realized like I'll be a good artist actually.
Okay.
So yeah, I joined Zynga, then I joined Hike, then I came here. Actually, working here is like a freedom. Like you don't hold any barrier. It's like no, you go as creative as you are. Like and the concept team, like he said, it's a more of like brainstorming here. What's the creative brainstorming? We have a like very happy debate over here over the art, game art, and everything. And my particular role is like what each individual artist has to do the task, and like we discuss over there in a broad plan. Like we set up production pipeline, and we like know these are the art requirement, and like know who's going to be doing what and what is the timeline need to be set. Mainly like production thing which I look into it.
Okay. Anything to add?
Akash is our newest member to the art.
Newest member.
Yeah, so
Art
hi, I'm a 3D artist like for production art in the studio. So for me, my situation's kind of unique.
Yeah.
I'm not a formally trained artist.
Okay.
Like everything I've done is self-studied. So what I do, what I love doing when I come here is basically the freedom I get in the sense where my day starts with opening up Art Station, talking to the other artists, and actually getting insight on things which are happening in the industry.
What makes a good 3D artist? What does it take to be good at 3D art?
Being, what's the word? Like now that you said it, I can't think of the word, but like regularly, every hour, every day giving at least 2-3 hours. Being regular, being punctual with practice.
Okay, got it. All right, thank you very much, guys. Art team at Hypernova, and moving on to the engineers, the guys that get it done. They get the stuff into the build. Who do we have here?
So we have Subi,
All right.
Tanmay, Gautam, and Mandish.
Okay. Can one of you guys tell me, engineering here at Hypernova, what are you guys doing on a day-to-day basis? What does it look like to be an engineer here? Anyone want to take a crack at explaining what you guys do?
Yeah, sure. So,
Here you go. Please talk into the mic.
yes. So on a day-to-day basis, we generally keep it like a team activity.
Okay.
Whenever it's a new feature, we generally first assign it to one person to take in charge of that feature.
All right.
That person comes up with the architecture on how it has to be set up, and it is shared with the whole dev team, and we get feedback from everyone on how it can be improved, and then the development on that feature begins.
Okay. How much time are you spending coding versus meetings versus talking to other people, stuff like that?
So yeah, generally it's more of a collaborative process with the design team.
Okay.
But yeah, most of our time is spent on the actual coding. Some of us get engaged in meetings on and off.
Okay. And can maybe someone else can talk about how is the engineering team structured? Is it all client side? Do you guys have a certain specialization, or are you guys all just kind of full stack, or how does that work? Do you want to talk? Okay, here you go.
Well, everyone brings in some specialization or the other, but the project or whatever the task we have at hand, it either comes in two form factors. It comes with the requirement of that specialized hand, in which case we would probably try to delegate that task on that one individual, or he or she can lead the production part. And then there are times when it's a learning curve. Like we all also try to learn at the same time. There'll be new challenges. There'll be unknown or unexpected ways. So I believe that's where we, as he said, it's a collaborative effort.
Okay.
When you come together as a team, one person's learning is equal to everyone's learning.
I see. Great. Well, and maybe you can tell me, who is the best engineer at Hypernova?
If I have to say, I'll say is the best one.
Okay, who's the best looking engineer at Hypernova?
That's difficult to say.
Okay.
That you will have to decide.
Okay, and what do you think, what does it take to become a good engineer? If somebody wanted to become an engineer at a games company, what would they have to do? What should they be doing now to prepare to come to a company like Hypernova?
So first you'll have to very good at basics in programming. Without basics you will get lost.
What do you mean by basics?
Basics,
you mean like math? You mean like understanding
yes,
language?
you'll have to have some understanding of math, like vectors and all, and like programming concepts like object-oriented programming. And the language which you want to be a proficient. So we here mostly use C#, but if you want to check out other languages, C++ is also a really great language to learn. Yeah, so you have to be at least proficient in the languages which you want to work with.
Okay, great. All right, well, thank you. And maybe, what do you like best about being an engineer here at Hypernova?
I get to break things.
You get to break things, okay.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's that, right? They give us A and B as a feature, and then we realize it breaks C.
Okay.
At which point it's back to the drawing board. But at the end of the day, we are like learning it. We're like, okay, that doesn't work with what we have in mind. It it works on paper, but it does not work in real time. Where you get to see the stuff only when it's working.
Okay.
So actually breaking stuff is a proper way to learn. So yeah, that's the best.
All right, great. Thank you very much, guys. All right, who is, oh, Mr. Producer. How's it going?
It's going good.
Can you tell us, what do you do as a producer? What does it mean to be a producer? Because this has a lot in a lot of different game studios. A producer has different responsibilities or scope of work. So what does that mean at Hypernova? What do you do? What is your scope of responsibility?
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is product, process, people, and the players. So, like a producer's role, the way I envision it is, how do you get the best out of all of these? And because it's a team that's growing, and like you saw, there are different teams working on different things, to get the communication, to make it like a teamwork instead of people working in an isolated manner within themselves. And in the end, it becomes a great product, and it becomes something that players have fun with. So my role is to channelize this through processes and through team building activities or working with the team, coaching, retrospectives, and all of that.
What is the most difficult part of being a producer?
I mean, largely it's about, I guess, working with change on a day-to-day basis.
Okay.
And figuring what's the best way to respond to something that happens on a day-to-day basis.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Should we?
Product manager.
Product manager. Okay. Now this is the other big issue that comes up. What is the difference between a product manager and a producer? Now that has a lot of different variations at different game studios, but can you tell us what you do as a product manager versus a producer?
I mean, obviously this varies from company to company, but broadly, I think the producer role is one that involves more execution instead of planning.
Right.
So while here you have of course, given that we are pre-product, we've not released something yet. The function of a product manager here is to perform all sorts of tasks. So essentially, the job here for us is to rally the team's functions around and give them a plan for what features to build, and like the kind of to basically serve as a planning tool for the kind of numbers and the kind of goals that we want to achieve with the product. And the product manager needs to keep that in mind all the time, and then sort of work to create economy systems and then implement economy ideas and discuss with the design team on what exactly needs to go inside the game and plan everything around the deadlines that we have. So in that sense, the product manager is much more of a planning role than a producer.
And you mentioned economy and systems design.
Yes.
Are you doing that, or are you working with one of the designers on that?
I am doing that right now at the studio. I am heading most of that, given that it's still at a relatively earlier stage.
Right.
But yeah.
And who's more valuable, the producer or the product?
That's a very difficult question. I would like to prefer not to answer that right now.
All right, well, thank you very much. Yeah. Shiraz, we are told that you are a programmer worth speaking to. What makes you special here at Hypernova?
I mean, that would be me being an intern who newly joined the company.
Okay.
And yeah, been here for 1 month and a half.
Okay. Where'd you come from?
I've been doing my post-graduation in ICAT.
Okay.
After that, I got an offer over here and I joined.
Nice. And so I think a lot of people that may be watching this video and paying attention may be people who want to break into the games industry. How did you convince Huzaifa and Mayur to have you join this company? What was it about you that made them give you an internship here?
Okay, I think that would be the portfolio I was creating while I was studying, doing my PG and UG.
Ah, nice.
So I was mainly focusing on trying to create different kind of games and some prototypes and stuff.
Yes.
So that I could show that as the stuff I was able to create during a particular time limit. So that would give me an edge over other people who are not ready with the portfolio.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. And for our audience, like one of the things I think it's important to do, just like in this case, where if you are able to build your own portfolio, like besides a resume, everyone has a resume, but not everyone may have a portfolio that shows demonstrated work and capability. And clearly in this case, I guess that made a difference for you.
Yeah.
Great, thank you very much. Ooh, nice. Check this out. This is your motion capture studio, right?
Yes.
So for our audience, Huzefa, can you explain what is a motion capture, kind of like, what is it? What are you using this studio for?
Motion capture is a technology that is used to make sure that the actors are able to act inside of the game. So whatever they speak or however they move their body, all of that gets captured and we can show it inside the game. So all the cutscenes in Mayanagri that you see, an actor actually did that, right? So that's really the main goal of a motion capture studio.
Right, and basically when you're doing animations for your characters by using motion capture, you'll be able to kind of automate that rather than having to manually come up with the animation.
Precisely, right.
Okay, can we actually see something work or how you actually do this? Is that possible or not?
Not right now.
Okay.
It needs a whole setup.
Oh, I see.
I'll send you some footage that
All right.
we have from before.
Okay, well let's talk to some of the motion capture guys here. What's up, guys? Can you guys tell me, what do you guys do on a day-to-day basis here? How is the studio being used? And yeah, tell us more about yourselves.
So this is the cinematic and animation team for the game.
Yep.
We capture the performance here on this floor, and we transfer those animation in the characters we need in the game.
Right.
Yeah, so we edit them and make them game ready.
Okay. And how many people, do you need 3 people, or are you guys just sitting here just because you're friends? And we're like...
So he's Janmeet.
Okay.
He's Imrose and I'm Kapil. Janmeet is the art director here,
Okay.
and he takes care of all the cinematics and the shoot and everything.
I see.
And we do the after work, like the animation thing and like making the animation game ready or making cinematic and all.
Right, and so as art director, you're overseeing the art team and all the animations and things like that?
Yeah.
Okay, so could you, maybe you can speak into here, but art director, could you talk to us about what does an art director do? What's your general day-to-day?
First of all, we work in a team of 5 here. We have 2 animators, we have another director working with me and a producer working with me. We all work closely with the team above, which is the development team and the engineering team.
Right.
We get the specifications and we kind of try to accommodate that for the game and how we can do it more smoothly as possible.
Okay.
And we figure out our techniques, we figure out a way to execute it and way to deliver it as soon as possible.
Okay, great. All right, well, thank you very much. And there you have it. We have covered most of the main departments here at Hypernova. Mayur, Huzefa, thank you so much for letting us speak to your crew here, and I can't wait for updates on Mayanagri. Thanks, guys.